Go.
Hello, my dear students, and welcome to our lab demonstration on the famous or classic chemistry lab experiment called the elephant's toothpaste, sometimes called the devil's toothpaste or dragon's toothpaste. This is a classical experiment frequently done at younger grades and younger ages, and a frequent YouTube experiment, but it actually is quite a good demonstration because it involves replacement reactions, uh, degradation reactions, a quick discussion of thermodynamics, and a great example of an exothermic reaction. It's not explosive, but it is a very dramatic demonstration, and also introduces to the concept of a catalyst and catalysis in chemical reactions. We're going to observe the breakdown of hydrogen peroxide. You observe it when you put it on a cut, and you see it bubble. And what's happening there is it's breaking down into water and oxygen. And the little bubbles you see are oxygen bubbles. Well, we're going to do it, and that's actually an enzyme catalyzed reaction that's sped up as you pour it on a wound. And if there are bacteria or your own body has the enzyme catalase, it will break down that hydrogen peroxide very rapidly. You know, this reaction happens spontaneously. If you leave your hydrogen peroxide out and come back to it in several months, you'll notice it's basically water and that it no longer has the bubbling action, and that's because it's broken down to water and oxygen. Well, I'm going to take some hydrogen peroxide. This is not your normal hydrogen peroxide. This is a chemistry laboratory grade 30% hydrogen peroxide, and no, you cannot buy it. It's not generally commercially available. Even when I buy it, I can't even buy it unless I have it shipped to the school. So I'm going to take 100 mils or so of that and pour it into my graduated cylinder, and then I'm going to put it up. And to make this demonstration a little more dramatic and more visible, so it's not just a bunch of bubbles, we're going to bubble into some foam, and I'm going to add about 10 mils of Dawn detergent. Mix that up, and to make the bubbles even more visible and more apparent, I'm going to add a few drops of red food coloring, just for effect. Now, if we sit here and wait, it will break down. You may not notice it or observe it over reasonable time periods, but over a long period of time, weeks or months, that hydrogen peroxide will break down to water and oxygen. What I'm going to do is take about 20 mils of our catalyst, which in this case is potassium iodide, and we're going to add it to our flask, our graduated cylinder. And I'm going to zoom in on the actual cylinder itself, and on the count of 3, or the countdown of 3, I'm going to add this. So 3, 2, 1, and we'll see and watch what happens. And we are going to be spilling out massive amounts of foam, and if you also notice, there's steam rising off of this foam. We're getting some all over. The beauty of this experiment is it's a little bit of a mess, but the cleanup is great because you are cleaning up with soap and water. And that's about it. I do want to, if I can find my torch, I'll be right back. Keep focused on that. Those bubbles are filled with oxygen. And it doesn't work every time, but sometimes I can take a plain splint, wooden splint, and relight it. You can see it flare. Relight it sometimes by picking up the oxygen in the bubbles. You can at least see it flare. There, it relit for a second. Unfortunately, the bubbles are wet, so it puts it back out. But those bubbles are filled with oxygen, and that is the famous, Elephant's Toothpaste Lab. Everybody wants to touch the foam. I don't allow people to do it. If you do, you should wear gloves if you do this, because there may be some unreacted hydrogen peroxide that comes through. I know where my sink is, and I know where relief is if I should get some on me, because it will burn, and it will, if you had an open cut, it would burn immensely. So that's it for this demonstration. We are going to, in the next video, move to the smartboard and quickly answer the questions in the lab report so that you can turn in your lab report and your lab grade and get a lab grade for this demonstration. Goodbye now.